Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Very Cold Lasagna podcast, your filthy casual place for all the filthy casual takes on the world of sports. I am DylanLasagna. Welcome to episode number 131 of this icy yet spicy podcast. And today, we got a good show for you all. After a week of relaxation, not hearing my voice, and just time for me to recollect myself before another busy number of episodes that are about to come in for you. It felt good. It felt good to catch my breath a bit after what was a long couple of months for covering football. Yeah, it really was. Having to not to say that I didn't want to pick up a collection of games, review it, and then talk about it with you guys. Sure, definitely. It was nice to talk about some NFL football for y'all. But that being said, having done with the Super Bowl, having done the recap episode for it, after I was done with it, I was like, I can breathe now. I can finally enjoy at least some of this early off season. The first week of the off season, it just felt like, man, football's over. It's like, well, now what? It's like, okay, I can relax a bit. I can relax a little. But then we obviously had one thing to talk about this coming week, and that certain thing was a pay-per-view. A pay-per-view that happened this past Saturday, and that was the WWE Elimination Chamber pay-per-view. So yes, we do talk about wrestling here from time to time, ladies and gentlemen. And I guess with the onset of the NFL offseason in full swing, I guess it's a good time to talk about some wrestling. Compared to last year, compared to where I was at in the state of pro wrestling, my state as a pro wrestling fan in 2022, I gotta admit, my state as a pro wrestling fan in 2023 has gone up. It has actually gone up so slightly. I'm actually intrigued where WWE is going, heading towards WrestleMania season. This is like the most intrigue I have had as a wrestling fan since, I'd say, 2016. Yes, everyone has said, "Oh, the dreaded 2016 year was such a bad year for WWE." I mean, some people have their mixed opinions on 2016, but that's another story for another time. But here we are with this Elimination Chamber pay-per-view. This was a big last pre-WrestleMania pay-per-view before the actual thing down in Los Angeles. They were in Montreal, Quebec, Canada for this 5-match show. Yes, it was only 5 matches, but each match kind of served the purpose. It served the purpose. The 2 Elimination Chamber matches served the purpose, even if it was kind of like a McDonald's playpen with the padding. More on when we talk about the Elimination Chamber matches itself. The 5 tons of steel, and then you had Brock Lesnar versus Bobby Lashley, a mixed tag team match between Edge and Beth Phoenix going up against the Judgment Day in Rhea Ripley and Finn Balor in a climax to their long feud. And then obviously you had the main event, the big main event that everyone was looking forward to since the Royal Rumble, when, as I talked about it on my Royal Rumble review, Sami Zayn betraying the Bloodline, turning his back on the head of the table, the undisputed WWE champion Roman Reigns. And kind of weird how some people are saying like, "Oh, Roman Reigns should be the victim in this situation," which is kind of true in some sense. Roman Reigns should be the victim in this scenario. But you have to remember that Roman Reigns is technically the villain. He's the mafioso in the WWE. He's the head guy. So he's kind of pulling all the strings here. And yeah, he definitely brought in Sami Zayn to be part of his family, and Sami did betray him. I don't know. It is kind of a convoluted thing, but it's so damn good that you can overlook that stuff. So we were getting this big main event match between Roman Reigns and Sami Zayn in Sami Zayn's hometown crowd of Montreal. You kind of felt it was going to be so big, especially with that reaction that he got on SmackDown. Some people will say it was smarky. Others will say that's just his natural hometown crowd. It was going to feel like a big fight atmosphere. So big, much bigger than perhaps maybe the Chicago crowd from 2011 Money in the Bank with CM Punk, or even the ECW One Night Stand 2006 with RVD and John Cena. Who knows? Who knew what it was going to be like in this kind of environment in Montreal? So, yeah, that's definitely what we're going to talk about here in this episode of Very Cold Lasagna. Very quick, before we dive much deeper into this review of Elimination Chamber, obviously, make sure you keep in touch, keep watching, keep listening to everything in relation to Very Cold Lasagna, whether it's on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. We're available on Apple, Spotify, Anchor FM, Google Podcasts. If you're listening to the audio side of things, make sure you leave a rating, whether it's 1 to 5, and review it as well. Your feedback always means the world to me, especially as well as on the YouTube side. Leave a comment, like the video episode, share it with your friends, share it with a stranger, share it with your coworker, share it with everybody. Your shares, your likes, your comments, anything that you do in relation to Very Cold Lasagna means the world to me. Follow the show on social media, on Twitter and Instagram at Very Cold Lasagna. And we got a lot of upcoming content coming soon to Very Cold Lasagna, with the season recaps coming up. I have the first batch of season recaps coming up with the worst of the worst coming soon next week on Very Cold Lasagna. So we're pretty much following the same format as we did last year. Start from the bottom to the top, and now we're here. So that's how we're going to do it as we begin season recap month at the end of February. So yeah, it's kind of a weird order, but you'll know why. You'll know why. So look forward to that. And yeah, it's going to be a big month for Very Cold Lasagna yet again, as we get season recap month for Very Cold Lasagna in full swing pretty soon. So now on to this Elimination Chamber review. Obviously, like I said, it was only a 5-match show. But again, every match felt like it served a purpose. Even if, some of these matches felt like they had a lot of jobbers in it. Such is the case with the opening match of the card, the Elimination Chamber match, which consisted of the female side. Every woman in this match was fighting for an opportunity to fight Bianca Belair at WrestleMania 39 in Los Angeles. In whose house? Niners' house. Not Rams' house. Not even the Clippers' house. Niners' house. So anyway, because Rhea Ripley, who won the Royal Rumble, chose Charlotte Flair to for the SmackDown Women's Championship, Bianca Belair was left with no opponent. So they decided to have this Elimination Chamber match to determine Bianca Belair's opponent for WrestleMania in Los Angeles. So you have Asuka, Liv Morgan, Nikki Cross, Raquel Rodriguez, who were the last four before Rhea Ripley won the match at the Royal Rumble. They were the kind of final four-ish in that Royal Rumble, so they automatically qualified. And then in 2 qualifier matches, Natalya and Carmella finished the rest of the field. Honestly, this match was pretty all right. I mean, it was okay. Honestly, one of the more cleaner matches that I seen the woman had. And yeah, there were certainly some botches here and there. And they had the typical, let's get together so someone can dive onto everybody's spot. That spot being Nikki Cross when she came into the Elimination Chamber. She was going batshit crazy. And then she went on top of the pod and dove onto Raquel, Liv Morgan, and I think it was Raquel Rodriguez. So I don't like those kind of spots, man, where it makes it so obvious that something big is going to happen. It's like, no, make it feel special. Make it feel unpredictable. If you want to do those spots, like the let's get together in a circle jerk, and then do the dive. Like, at least make it like believable. Don't make it so predictable. So anyway, Carmella, when she first got into the match, you know, she was trying to pussy her way out. I mean, you know, not that kind of way, you know. She was trying to weasel her way out of the match. She frequently tried to hide in her pod because, you know, she's like being a scaredy cat. She was hiding from Nikki Cross. She was hiding from Raquel. But Raquel would bulldoze Nikki Cross into her pod, and then Nikki Cross would get eliminated because of that. And then you have Liv Morgan, who is crazy as all hell, with taking all these extreme bumps. And my God, Liv Morgan, shit, for reasons. She hit this crazy sunset flip powerbomb off the top of the chamber pod, and Asuka entered the match last and stopped Carmella from hiding any longer. So that she was pretty much in there for the rest of the match. Liv Morgan then got eliminated next after she passed out with Natalya and Asuka hitting or locking in their submission finishers on her. Really unfortunate. She didn't even make it to the final three, at least. And then after Liv Morgan got eliminated, eliminations came in rapid fire. You know, Carmella and Natalya. They would get into it. Carmella eliminated Natalya with a super kick, and then Mella and Asuka eliminated Raquel Rodriguez. They would work together, and then the final two came down to Asuka and Carmella, and from there it pretty much became kind of known that Asuka was going to win the match with the Asuka lock, and there you go. You're getting your Raw Women's title match at WrestleMania between Bianca Belair and the kind of newish Asuka. So again, a decent match to start the show. Now it's going to be on WWE. Can they capitalize on this like new version of Asuka? This new kind of insane-ish version of Asuka back to her like Japan days where she was Kana. So yeah, it's going to be on WWE. Can they actually capitalize that? Can they follow that up with them actually having Asuka beat Bianca Belair at Mania, whatever night it is? Because to be honest with you, as mainstream, as marketable as Bianca Belair can be, depending on what definition you think it is, Bianca Belair's title run since, what was it, SummerSlam or WrestleMania last year, it's been very stale. Like, nothing special has happened. And every time she comes out, it's the same stick. It's the same act. It's not to be, you know, you whip your hair back and forth and it's just, oh, you want to challenge the EST? You want to fight, pal? It's like one of those indie generic promos from Bianca Belair. So hopefully this version of Asuka and whatever WWE Creative can do with her can give a run for Bianca's money at WrestleMania. So one last note about this Elimination Chamber match. I do think that Liv Morgan was the MVP, taking all those extreme bumps and shit. And I think it's just me. She still continues to improve. She still kind of botches a little though. But she could still be one of the women's division standout wrestlers. She was a SmackDown Women's Champion. She was a Miss Money in the Bank. She does take a lot of extreme bumps and all that. But man, there's not really much of a path for her going into WrestleMania because, you know, all the title matches are set, and well, depending on what happens with the women's tag team titles, if you even want to go there, yeah, it's kind of unfortunate, you know, with how Liv Morgan is going. I mean, not to say, oh, she deserves to be there. It's just like, what can you really do with her now? But oh well, it is what it is. You get your Raw Women's title match at WrestleMania, Bianca Belair versus Asuka. So there you go. I mean, decent opening contest. Now let's move on to the rubber match, the 3-match between Brock Lesnar and Bobby Lashley. So this feud has actually been going on for about a year now. So when Bobby Lashley was WWE champion, I think it was Brock Lesnar. No, it wasn't Brock. No, Bobby Lashley won the first match when he was WWE champion at the Royal Rumble last year. And then I think it was Brock Lesnar that beat him at Crown Jewel back in November. But it was Bobby Lashley that made him pass out after the match and beat him down. Now they came to this third and decisive match, especially after that Bobby Lashley eliminated him in this year's Royal Rumble, and Lesnar threw a temper tantrum and wanted another match with him. So I gotta say, this match was stupid. This match was so stupid because all this was a finisher spam fest. And then when Bobby Lashley had the Hurt Lock, the Master Lock on Brock Lesnar, when Lesnar couldn't get out of it, Lesnar dick kicked him. Lesnar dick kicked Bobby Lashley, and Lashley won by disqualification. Like, so why are we having this match in the first place? So why did this even happen? What was the point of this? Why didn't they save this to WrestleMania when you could have done a stipulation match like Falls Count Anywhere or Hell in a Cell? What was the point of this match happening now? Especially when you consider that, what was the point of Bray Wyatt challenging the winner? Like, how do you even follow that up with Bray Wyatt challenging Bobby Lashley, who's technically won this match, even though it was disqualification? And I don't know, how does either guy look good? How does WWE make either guy look good after this? Like, Lashley looked like an idiot because he got dick kicked and his ass whooped again by Lesnar. Speaking of Brock Lesnar, sure, he put on another typical beatdown, like a rage-filled beatdown on Bobby Lashley and an official, but he looked weak because he got disqualified by dick kicking Bobby Lashley. So, damn. I don't know, man. This match was really stupid. And not only that, it's like, who was the face and heel? Who was the face and heel in this feud? And not just this feud, but in this matchup. Because I get it. Bobby Lashley clearly was the heel. Especially, it was notable in that contract signing the Monday prior to this pay-per-view. But it was like, when you look at his entrance, when you watched his entrance on that Saturday, he was fist bumping fans. He was hyping them up. Like, he was doing a lot of babyface, like, heroic stuff in his entrance. It's like, aren't you supposed to be a heel here? Like, weren't you just playing an arrogant heel that was hiding behind security from Brock Lesnar until you found your opportunity to attack him the Monday prior? Like, what the hell happened here? So anyway, I don't know what to make of this. This match was a whole mess. What is either guy gonna do at WrestleMania, especially Lesnar? Like, what is Brock Lesnar gonna do at WrestleMania? Like, are they gonna transition towards fighting Lashley again to make up for it, or are they gonna do some kind of triple bet with Lashley, Lesnar, and Bray Wyatt? Or what do you even do with Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania? What do you even do? So anyway, you have the next matchup between Edge and Beth Phoenix versus the Judgment Day's Finn Balor and Rhea Ripley. So this match has pretty much been a long time coming for the Grit couple, as they were calling them. The Hall of Fame couple of Edge and Beth Phoenix, because for some of you that don't know, Edge formed this group back at WrestleMania when he was feuding with AJ Styles. First formed it with Damian Priest, and then Rhea Ripley came along at the next pay-per-view Backlash. They formed the Judgment Day. It was all kind of a confusing mess of what exactly their message was. It was basically like, oh, we hate the fans. Their Judgment Day is coming. It was a pretty stupid concept to begin with anyway. And then when it wasn't connecting, they brought in Finn Balor, and then they kicked out Edge. And then it led to a lot of stupid shit with the Judgment Day afterwards. But I mean, they brought in Dominic. They brought in Dominic Mysterio. And then I remember when San Jose really hated Dominic so much that they wanted him to go away. But that's besides the point. The Judgment Day and basically Rhea Ripley took out Beth Phoenix at Extreme Rules. They with a concerto with Edge having to watch, saying "I quit" in that "I quit" match because he didn't want Beth Phoenix to get hurt, but she got hurt anyway. And now this match came to a head between these four people. So yeah, I mean, I gotta say this match was good. You have Beth Phoenix and Rhea Ripley being at even strength early with how strong they are. I mean, Rhea Ripley's not like like Beth in terms of and then Dominic Mysterio, man. Montreal did not like Dominic. He got them FU chants frequently from them. So yeah, he wasn't the only hostile person. He wasn't the only public enemy in Montreal that night. More on that in a bit. So there were times where Balor would prevent Beth Phoenix from tagging in her husband, but eventually Edge would get in the hot tag, and he and Beth Phoenix locked Finn Balor and Rhea Ripley into the Educator, a modified sharpshooter. But then Dominic Mysterio became a big factor into the match frequently. He had first toss in brass knuckles. Rhea Ripley would use it, and then Dominic tried to interfere again, but then Beth Phoenix powerbombed Dominic into the turnbuckle from the outside to stop Finn Balor from hitting his finisher onto Edge. And then before I get to the climax of the match, I do want to point out that Beth Phoenix, oh man, this has to feel, I do feel bad for her. She provided 2 botchamania moments. So she pretty much botched 2 things pretty badly. So there's a spot where Edge, like I said, was pretty much knocked out from brass, like he was hit by brass knuckles from Rhea Ripley from behind the referee. And then when Edge kicked out, Beth Phoenix was supposed to break up the pin, but she dove in too late, way after the count. I was like, oh man. It's so it looked like she was drunk on that spot. And then Beth Phoenix was trying to spear Rhea Ripley from the middle rope. You know how Big E Langston often did it when he was wrestling, like a couple years ago? He would spear people through the barricade, not through the barricade, through the rope, the second rope. Beth Phoenix tried to spear Rhea Ripley through the second rope, but she was a tad bit slow, and she couldn't do it. And so she settled for like a drop kick or something. So that was a bummer. That was a real bummer. And then the end of the match came when Ripley tried to hit a concerto, just like she did at Extreme Rules on Beth Phoenix on the steel steps, but Beth Phoenix dodged it. And then she hit Rhea Ripley with the glam slam on the outside. And then Edge knocked out Dominic. And then went back in the ring, hit Balor with the spear. And then he and Beth Phoenix finished off Finn Balor with Shattered Machine. So pretty much the Revival's finisher to win the match. So, for a mixed tag team match, this was pretty solid. This is really good. Both teams provided a lot of energy, had some good spots in it. Dominic, he did actually pretty decent in his role as a heel. Trying to do so much to help Rhea Ripley and Balor take out the Hall of Fame couple for good, permanently, but he failed as the scrappy heel. And now, after all the Judgment Lane had put through them, Edge and Beth Phoenix finally got one over them. But, you know, for a lot of people, it seemed like Edge and Finn Balor were destined for a pure one-on-one match, at least for the last time, like in their feud at WrestleMania. But the way that Edge was talking about wanting to move on from the Judgment Day, and the way the match ended so cleanly, it seems like Edge and Beth Phoenix's story with the Judgment Day is over. I mean, it kind of makes sense in a way because, you know, Rhea Ripley is going to be moving on to Charlotte Flair to because, you know, she won the Royal Rumble. She chose Charlotte. Now they basically have to advance that feud. And you don't really have much else to tell with Edge and Finn Balor and the Judgment Day anymore. It's like you pretty much exhausted all your fumes on that story. So what more do you need to do with the Judgment Day? The only thing is like, what do you do with Edge now at WrestleMania? I mean, apparently he's facing Austin Theory on Raw for the U.S. title in like this open challenge. So, I mean, do something for one, I'm not sure about the other. And that other is Edge. So we don't know what's in store for the rated R superstar, but who knows? There's still a lot of time until WrestleMania. So, you know, be something for Edge at the show of shows. So, solid match for both mixed teams. So then we had the final Elimination Chamber match of the night for the United States Championship. Honestly, considering the field was full of jobbers, like there wasn't really much to care about in this particular match. You had the champion Austin Theory, Seth Rollins, Johnny Gargano, Bronson Reed, Damian Priest, and the Street Profits Montez Ford. So yeah, when you read those names, when you talk about those names, it's like, who? Especially as a casual fan, who? But then, if you're a hardcore fan, telling a casual fan this is like, oh, you don't watch wrestling, like you don't watch wrestling, like how do you not know these people? Do your research, Google them, bitch. That's the problem. If you're a casual fan trying to watch this shit, it's like, why are we supposed to be researching this shit, like during the show? Why are we supposed to like think that we have to know this right off the bat? So now it's the thing with this Elimination Chamber match. It was like these guys were not really getting that much of a reaction other than Seth Rollins, because obviously Seth Rollins is a known name. But everyone else was just like, yeah, okay, whatever. So Seth Rollins and Johnny Gargano started off this match, and then the order of entry was followed by Austin Theory, Damian Priest, Bronson Reed, and Montez Ford. It's funny. In my notes, it says Montez Food. That could have been his name. That could have been his ring name, Montez Food. What if Bianca was like, hey, your ring name should be Montez Food instead of Montez Ford. So your last name is not going to be based on a car. It's going to be based on food. Yum. So just like Carmella did in the women's match, Austin Theory tried to lock himself into his pod from Johnny Gargano, but that was only on one side of the door, pal. Seth Rollins went onto the other side, which was unlocked, and both he and Johnny Gargano beat down on Austin Theory inside the pod. So that was a pretty solid moment for there. It was kind of funny. And then later on in the match, Bronson Reed hit a pretty cool. I'll admit, this is a pretty cool spot. Hit a double-decker Samoan drop, lifted both Rollins and Gargano pretty easily. But unfortunately, he kind of had a botchamania moment, He tried to sandwich Damian Priest through a chamber pod, but the plexiglass, what do you call it? It's like I don't know what they use for the Elimination Chamber now. It's like that fake glass. It wouldn't break. So then you had Montez Ford entering last in a flurry. He was pretty much mimicking a lot of past wrestlers, and especially The Rock. He tried to do a people's elbow on Austin Theory, but then he got trucked by Bronson Reed. And then you even had Austin Theory trying to mimic John Cena. Perhaps a sign of what's to come at WrestleMania? I don't know. Because he tried to do an attitude adjustment on Bronson Reed, who was like fucking 100 pounds heavier than him. So, like, why are we trying to do an AA on a guy you can't even lift? So, then just like in the Elimination Chamber match for the women, obviously the man had to do it too. Because you had to have the let's get everybody together in a circle jerk and dive onto everyone spot. That's what Montez Ford did from the top of the Elimination Chamber. And then he pretty much like, trust fell onto everybody on the outside. So it's like, dude, why do we need to have these like unnecessary and predictable spots? It's so unnecessary for a cheap pop, for a cheap reaction. So then after that, the eliminations came in. Bronson Reed got teamed up on, got gangbanged. He was the first eliminated by Johnny Gargano, Seth Rollins, Montez Ford. And then you got Johnny Gargano, who got eliminated by Damian Priest. Seth Rollins and Montez Ford then eliminated Damian Priest. And then Montez Ford took a big bump by Seth Rollins, getting curb stomped onto the chamber floor, which was padding. And Austin Theory stole his elimination. And then because Montez Ford got hit with a curb stomp onto the floor on the outside, that left the Elimination Chamber door open, like the way to get in to the actual chamber structure itself. It left it open. So Montez Ford had to be helped to the back. And then while he had to get help, Rollins hit Austin Theory with a pedigree, and then was closing in on reclaiming the U.S. title. He's looking to hit a curb stomp, but in came in Logan Paul. Yeah, Logan Paul, who was it? Logan Paul that was smack talking Seth Rollins, or was it Seth Rollins smack talking Logan Paul? Let me know which way or the other it is. By the way, Logan Paul came in, hit a buckshot lariat on Seth Rollins. Not as clean as the ones he previously did, but that's besides the case. And then he hit Rollins with his own curb stomp. And then he closed the chamber to see Austin Theory hit his finisher, A-Town down, to retain the U.S. title. So this match, I mean, it wasn't for me. A lot of like spot orgies all around, and there was a lot of wrestlers I didn't really give a shit about. I mean, the only one that was right there I cared a little was Seth Rollins, but even then, he's like upper mid card material. But I will say Montez Ford, he looked drugged out of his mind with all those high flying moves, his high energy, with the fans, with the crowd, and his athleticism, his selling of big moves. It was really good. I'll admit that. Obviously, the biggest story of this match was not Austin Theory retaining the title, but it was obviously Logan Paul costing Seth Rollins the match. So I can think that's kind of the story of these two Elimination Chamber matches. These two matches pretty much setting up two guaranteed WrestleMania matches. We obviously have the Raw Women's title match being set in the Women's Elimination Chamber match. And now you have a chamber match that set up another what could be a quality WrestleMania match between Logan Paul and Seth Rollins. And it looks like Logan Paul is going to be the heel, the villain in this matchup, which is a more natural role for Logan Paul because he's hated so much for kind of, I don't know. I don't know if it's mixed reasons. I don't know if he's more hated than his brother Jake, but either way, being a heel, if it's Logan Paul, is more natural than when he had his babyface run, like in the second half of 2022, because it kind of felt forced, to be honest with you. But For Seth Rollins, for as annoying as he is, I mean, I think he can make for an interesting opponent for Logan Paul at Mania. So, yeah, these chamber matches were It was Especially it didn't help that the chamber match itself, for as much as it's so dangerous, it's like saying structure. Dude, if you go back and watch the chamber matches before 2017, the Elimination Chamber was so, it hurt like hell, but it looked so intimidating, especially with the steel grate on the floor that hurt like hell. It got people injured, but in the actual plexiglass, but in the actual steel chains, it looked very much more intimidating than what we have now with the Elimination Chamber. I wish that they have the current Elimination Chamber, but you have the steel chains, you have the actual plexiglass. Not the I can't find the right term for it. The one they have now, the plexiglass they have now, where it's just like wiggling, and then the padding would be. You have to find an alternative to the steel grate that can not only be safe, but make it intimidating for not just the fans, but for the wrestlers. If you have to find that happy medium, you really have to find that happy medium. Padding is certainly not one of those happy mediums. You have to find that middle ground. But yeah, those are my thoughts on the Elimination Chamber match. So obviously, for a lot of people, they came and watched this Elimination Chamber pay-per-view, whether it was at home on Peacock or on the WWE Network elsewhere, or if they were in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, for this one match. The main event, the undisputed WWE Champion Roman Reigns going up against the hometown kid, Sami Zayn. A match built up for, I'd say, a long time. And I say long time because you have to remember, Sami Zayn was in the Bloodline for about almost a year. Sami Zayn losing to Johnny Knoxville at WrestleMania, came in, wanting to rebuild himself, offered his services to the Bloodline, and then even though the Bloodline rejected him, he still wanted to commit. He still wanted to commit to get better and reinvent himself and help the Bloodline in every way he can. He wanted to find that family. And the Bloodline took him in. And when he got accepted, and when Roman claimed that he got greedy and all that at War Games, and it was kind of building up. And it was really building up for Sami, especially at the Royal Rumble when the beatdown on his, I guess you could say frenemy, Kevin Owens, because of how much he's betrayed him, how much he's backstabbed him in the past. But, he's had that soft spot for him as a friend. So, yeah, that frenemy in Kevin Owens. So, anyway, you couldn't help but think this was going to be a very big match. Match of the year? We don't know yet. Because it's still only February. But going in, the story was going to be so strong. Sami Zayn had a lot of doubts going into this match. He even expressed it to the Royal Rumble winner, Cody Rhodes, who was already guaranteed a match at WrestleMania. Sami Zayn didn't know. A lot of people were wanting Sami Zayn to upset Roman Reigns for WWE, to do an audible, have Sami Zayn get the Undisputed Championship and defend that shit at WrestleMania against Cody Rhodes. A lot of people wanted WWE to stay the course, have Roman retain, and go on to WrestleMania with the scheduled plan against Cody. WWE, when I look at it, they were kind of in a very tough position. Sure, Sami Zayn was pretty much the hottest guy, one of the hottest guys, one of the most popular acts they have right now. But at the same time, they couldn't afford to have Roman Reigns lose in the last pay-per-view, a B-level pay-per-view, mind you, but at the same time felt like a WrestleMania type pay-per-view before the actual WrestleMania pay-per-view itself. We have to keep this in mind. But yes, at the same time, times 3, you have to find a way to satisfy some portion of the fan base. Not everyone was going to be happy with the result, whether it was going to be the audible or the stayed path. So what was WWE going to do? Well, let's get through this match. So Roman Reigns actually came out first. Initially unfazed by the hostile environment. Felt like a Chicago vibe. Like Money in the Bank 2011 vibe. Not really much of the ECW 2006 One Night Stand vibe. A lot of people were making that kind of comparison, but not really much so by that. And then obviously Sami Zayn came out, got the hometown ovation, and then the match didn't get started until like about 5 minutes in because the Sami Zayn and Roman were letting the crowd get their fill in. They were both of them were soaking in the moment, because Sami Zayn knew that he was gonna get Roman to kind of crack into the hostile environment, and eventually he did. Roman eventually did get agitated by the crowd, but more on that in a bit. So Sami Zayn was able to get some early offense in, but Roman Reigns took control of the match, and while he was doing so, and when he finally got annoyed by the hostile environment, the hostile crowd, you know what? He got confident. He got in control. He began to talk shit at Sami Zayn's wife, Sami Zayn's family that was at ringside, and to the fans, all while dominating him. I absolutely loved it when he was talking about shit about how this is his fault. I brought him in. I tried to provide for him. And help you guys out. I should be the victim, which again, in some cases, it was true. It was true. In some instances, and then obviously, because Roman Reigns was booked to be overconfident and cocky and dominant as this big boss heel, his overconfidence got the best of him at times because Sami Zayn retook control of this match, hit his best moves, but his best moves sometimes weren't enough. Reigns suddenly hit his own best moves, like a rock bottom and a Superman punch to regain control. And then when you think that we're going to get towards the end of the match with Reigns trying for a spear, Sami Zayn dodged it, hit an exploder suplex into the turnbuckle. Then he went for his own Superman punch of his own, and then hit his finisher, the Luva kick, into a good 1-2 punch combo. But to get the crowd on his feet, it was just a near fall. The first of many near falls, like the very close near falls by the referee. Roman Reigns missed a barricade spear, and Sami Zayn rolled him back into the ring with a Blue Thunder Bomb, another very last millisecond near fall, and then right after that, shenanigans. I call shenanigans, as Kyle Bravoski would say. Roman Reigns would knock out the referee, and then Sami Zayn hit the haluva kick, but there was no referee. So you know what that means? Shenanigans. That allowed Jimmy Uso to come out, super kick the crap out of Sami Zayn, hit an Uso splash. And then, despite all that, when the second referee came out, Sami Zayn kicked out. And then Roman Reigns would spear Sami off of Jimmy Uso's sacrifice, I guess. But it still wouldn't get it done. Sami Zayn was fighting. And then Sami Zayn would continue to survive and even slap Roman Reigns. And that pissed him off. He pissed him off enough that he would try to Superman punch him, but then he dodged it and then knocked out the other official. So now you have no officials. That allowed Roman Reigns to ask his special counsel, Paul Heyman, my tribal chief, to get him a chair. And just like he did to Kevin Owens at the Royal Rumble, Roman Reigns was going to make Sami Zayn his bitch for life and put him into the ground for good in front of his wife, his family, and his hometown crowd. But then there was the factor that we all forgot about. Well, at least some of us did. Jey Uso. Jey Uso would stand in Roman's way, and just like he did with Sami at the Rumble, he would test Jey's loyalty to the family, to the royal bloodline family. But a lot of hesitation from Jey, a lot of waiting on Jey. He wouldn't hit Sami Zayn, but then he wouldn't hit Roman Reigns in the back. And I gotta say, why does Roman Reigns keep turning his back, smack talking Sami Zayn? Have you not learned anything from turning your back with someone with a chair? Seth Rollins first did it to you back in 2014. Sami Zayn just did it to you at the Royal Rumble. Have you not learned anything from this, Roman? Come on. So anyway, Roman Reigns notices that Jey hasn't done anything yet, and then he begins to shit talk his right hand man. He even pushes him. He pushes him with his hand, grabs him, his face, and then starts talking shit. But then he turns around and sees that Sami Zayn is coming in to spear him. But then he, at the very last moment, gets out of the way and accidentally hits Jey Uso. Some friendly fire from Sami Zayn to Jey Uso. So some very interesting developments there. And then that allowed Roman Reigns to finish Sami Zayn off with a steel chair assault and a spear to retain the undisputed title and assure a one-on-one match against Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania. And damn, the crowd was just crickets. Crickets. They were in disbelief. They were stunned. But then again, they were kind of accepting it. If this was kind of that 2K new 2K showcase mode where if John Cena won, then the crowd would have been really pissed. But then this Montreal crowd was just well, shit. It felt like they knew this outcome was coming, but they wanted to provide as much support to Sami Zayn. They wanted to rally around their hometown kid. And if he somehow did pull off the upset, they would have gone batshit crazy. And it would have been a party in Montreal. But things were not done yet. There was a post-match beatdown from Jimmy Uso, but then Kevin Owens came out. He returned from his Royal Rumble beating to save Sami Zayn, and then he attacked Roman, Jimmy, and then even Paul Heyman came in, tried to beat up on Kevin Owens. And then the show closed out. Sami Zayn gave one last Helluva kick to Roman Reigns, and Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, they looked at each other, but they didn't hug it out or anything because obviously they have a lot of issues with each other still. And then Sami Zayn had his standing ovation from his fans. So that pretty much closed out the show. So this match, for as overbooked as the end was, it was booked pretty good. This was really, really good. It felt like a conference championship game between two heated rivals, and that the heel was soaking in the hate. And then when the game got down to the wire, yeah, there was kind of shenanigans at the end, but the best team would come out on top, find a way to win when it mattered most, any way they could. Yeah, a little bit of shenanigans, but you get the point. WWE really did a great job in trying to convince a lot of people of Sami Zayn potentially pulling off an upset with numerous near falls, even if it increased many people's heart rate. And I know a lot of people were like recently talking about a certain number of fans were talking about, how like Sami Zayn, like going on that rally, Roman allowing that much offense to a indie worker like Sami Zayn made him look weak. Like, in what way? I mean, like, what did you want him to do? Like, just like end the story like with Roman dominating Sami Zayn, like dominating Sami Zayn like Brock Lesnar did to John Cena in 2014. It's like, that's not how the story of the Bloodline would satisfy a lot of people. It's like, you want to have, like, sure, it's that underdog mentality of Sami Zayn. And you have to look at Roman's character too. He's always a overconfident, cocky, asshole mob boss. Like, you have to realize that. So, I mean, we can agree to disagree all we want. I'm just saying that if people thinking that, Roman looks weak coming out of this, I mean, yeah, you can have that opinion, but in my opinion, Roman's just fine. Roman's just fine. I mean, yeah, he'll either lose to Cody or beat Cody at WrestleMania, but he'll regain as much as he can prior to WrestleMania, and he made Sami Zayn look as strong as he did. Sami Zayn put on perhaps his best match, and from a in-ring perspective and a story perspective and a character perspective on all aspects, which is very important. Like, I don't know, what else do you want? Like, I really don't know what else you want, because this match had almost everything. Yeah, aside from some of the shenanigans, like, it told a really good story, had a climax, and in a really good ending. And obviously the biggest dynamic was going to be Jey Uso. A lot of people were thinking, like, is he going to turn on Sami Zayn? Is he going to betray him? But they actually did a fine line between Sami Zayn accidentally hitting Jey Uso with the spear, but Jimmy Uso also still being conflicted, still also not being in agreement with Roman Reigns over this whole situation. So it actually leaves a lot of unanswered questions going into WrestleMania. Like, what this story is going to lead to. Sure, it's still, like, it can be a little convoluted at times, but when you look at it, for Sami Zayn, it looks like they're going to go the tag team title route with Kevin Owens and the Usos, but for all four participants, it seems like there's going to be a lot of reluctance. It seems like either there's going to be a lot of reluctance for all four participants to compete in that match, at least in terms of story, or Jey Uso is going to turn on Sami Zayn at some point before WrestleMania. So it's gonna be interesting. They're gonna get that tag team title match at Mania, and then Roman Reigns is gonna fight Cody Rhodes in the main event of WrestleMania overall. And I will say though that WWE is gonna have to do a really good job of selling that match with just 6 weeks out, because it just feels like a 2015 situation with Cody Rhodes, with Roman Reigns returning from injury, and then winning the Royal Rumble, and then now you have Cody returning from injury, winning the Royal Rumble. So now They have 6 weeks. They have to figure out what's the best possible story to tell between Roman and Cody. Sami Zayn's story, at least half of it, is done with the Bloodline. Now you got to tell this story, which I think should main event night 1 of WrestleMania, the tag team title match between Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens versus the Usos, because there could be a lot of reluctancy or pure hatred in this matchup. Like not the women's title match between not either women's title match, not to be sexist or anything, because this Bloodline overall story is the best route to go to for both nights. This WrestleMania is the ultimate climax for the Bloodline to really crack, to really fall. WWE has to capitalize on it in Los Angeles. So overall, the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view, I gotta say, it was pretty good. It was pretty good. It really rekindled my interest a little in some going into WrestleMania. And I didn't feel that way last year. Like, I was just be like, okay, that happened on Raw when I'm checking my phone on Twitter. But this time around, I be checking every so often, see what happens with not just the Bloodline storyline, but some other things that are happening. And I gotta say, WWE did a good job with this pay-per-view. Every match felt important. I mean, yeah, the Elimination Chamber matches were but at least there were some things that came out of it with setting up 2 matches for WrestleMania that kind of has a purpose in it. But the only downer was, Brock Lesnar versus Bobby Lashley. Unfortunately, that was pretty crappy. And then you got a good mixed tag team match with Edge and Beth Phoenix against the Judgment Day's Rhea Ripley and Finn Balor. Not necessarily the biggest fan of Finn Balor and Rhea Ripley, but they did pretty good for what they had. And obviously the main event was that damn good. From an in-ring perspective, from a storyline perspective, all around. And I know a lot of people have different opinions about it, but hey, all I can say is we can agree to disagree on whatever you want to say about the match, okay? So overall, this pay-per-view was pretty good. It was pretty good. Hopefully, Triple H and Creative keep it up. 6 weeks to WrestleMania. Hopefully, WrestleMania will be the ultimate climax for a lot of feuds. They stack up the card with quality matches on both nights. As much as I'm not a fan of 2-night WrestleManias, they stack the card with the best matches possible, and they make this perhaps a really good WrestleMania. I don't want to say one of the best, but a really good WrestleMania to follow up 2 good pay-per-views. I gotta admit it, WWE's been on a pretty solid roll lately. I gotta admit that. But I would like to know your thoughts on the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view, whether it's in the comments on YouTube or on Twitter or on Instagram at @cold-lasagna. Send me a message. Shoot me a comment on YouTube, however you want to do it. So I'd like to know your thoughts on this pay-per-view. So anyway, this is DylanLasagna of Very Cold Lasagna. Thank you for tuning into episode number 131 of this icy yet spicy podcast. And remember, follow the show on social media, on Twitter and Instagram at Very Cold Lasagna. Tune in on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor FM, and Google Podcasts. And keep that lasagna very cold in the fridge with your takes on the world of sports. And until next time, peace out.